Hello everybody, welcome to the dojo. Today's video we just have a quick unboxing and a first impressions of this Chinese war sword. Today's EDC is a cold steel crystallite. As I'm opening this, I'll tell you that if you do have an interest in this particular sword, then you need to go to the link and order it right away. From my research, this is a discontinued item from 2017 or 2018. Now I was worried that they would send me the wrong one, because as you know, I've got a habit of getting the wrong things shipped to me. There's two different variations of handle designs. There's an older one and then there's this newer one here. So that's how I was able to tell it was the correct one. This one is in brand new condition. It's still wrapped in plastic. Now there's a lot of reasons why I needed this specific Chinese war sword. You can find a lot of cheap Chinese war swords, or I should say affordable Chinese war swords online, but the problem is they come with a leather sheath. Just as most vegans study the back of labels on their food packaging to see the ingredient list, that's how I search for my jutsu martial arts tools, is I look for what they're made out of. Now this sheath is a nylon sheath with a polyethylene bumper guard down here, and there's no leather on it. So that was a big key point for me. And also you'll find them wrapped in leather in the handle too. So I have to do a lot of extra research. I can't just buy the #1 5-star rated on the first page. It takes me a while to find these, and unfortunately this one is a discontinued item. So if you are vegan, or if you just find interest in this particular sword, you need to order it right away. Now this blade is huge. It's a very wide blade here. The balance is actually very good. I think the reason for that is that this is marketed as a machete. So the reason why it handles so well is that the stock is so thin. It's probably only a few millimeters. So that's why this huge blade, with all that potential, it still is fast, even with one hand. The only reason they call it a machete is because they use the same metal stock as their machete line. But this is not a machete. This is just a sword constructed from the same metal of a machete line. The plastic is very lightweight. I'd like to get a magnet out and see where the tang stops. I'm not sure if it goes all the way through. The reason why I wanted this particular sword was the history of it. It has a very long history. I'll roll in some pictures. This sword has actually been in service for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And surprisingly, it's still in service to this day in the Chinese army, this Chinese war sword. Do a quick edge check. The edge is sharper than I thought it would be. Now there's many reasons why I wanted to add this particular sword into my system. The size of it, it's a very sturdy blade. That means it has a lot of chopping potential. Also, because of how thin it is, it's very easy to resharpen. When there's times that I don't want to risk damaging my primary blade, I can use this as essentially the beater blade to do more heavier work. If you look, most swords get thinner towards the point, but this is like basically like a Bowie knife. It's got a clip point and the stock gets wider and wider towards the edge. It just lends itself to chopping. If there is work that needs to be done, I can just let the weight of the sword do the work instead of actually using my muscle. If I just throw it and let the weight come down, I can get more work done. As far as the weight of the sword, I'm not sure if this sword even has a balance point. So it's quite far forward, the balance of it. Now, if I did have to use this as a primary defensive, it would work quite well. But this sword is much, much faster here. So just a quick comparison. Surprisingly, they have the same exact, if anything, the Chris sword has a longer blade length. Now the katana, it has a little bit longer of a blade, but not by much. Katana has about the same size handle. I do like the grip. It's like injection molded grip to, I'll get closer to the camera. So here's a closer look. So this handle is made to simulate a braided, but it's actually plastic here. Now this ring, a lot of people might be wondering what the ring in the back is for. Now, they used to make, I don't know, tens of thousands of these swords. They had to forge them. So, in my opinion, they would just do this ring pommel just to save metal, because metal was a much more precious material back then. This one actually has very nice guards here that protect the hand very well with these upswept curves here. The edge, it's not very sharp, but for what I want to use it for, it's sharp enough. Now this is the first time I've ever handled a Chinese war sword, but I have handled many two-handed sword and one-handed swords, so I can just basically intuitively feel how it would move. And it feels like it's a much more broader type of slasher. It has a lot more follow through. Most of the time I would recommend not to have follow through with your sword strikes. But with this particular sword, I would actually say to work with its momentum and follow through with it. Now this one is very light because of its spine thickness. So I'm interested to see what its cutting power is like. So I'll set up a cutting test now. I got the cutting stand set up. The first cut will just be on a cucumber. So it didn't do too bad. It actually made very nice sweeping clean cuts. So now we'll get the next test set up. For this test, we'll be highly scientific. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just see, well, you already know what I'm going to do. I really do feel the warrior spirit pulsing through me right now. This watermelon was a little bit bigger, so that was actually on purpose. I was just trimming this watermelon to size. Now I think that went through every single one. So I'll collect them. If you have a lot of watermelon to cut and you're short on time, this sword is the way to do it. I think this is good enough. I could wrap some saran wrap on them. They're all perfectly halved. So I'm very, very impressed with this sword. I thought I might have to touch up the edge with the belt sander and make it a little bit sharper, but as you can tell, it made short work of these watermelon. There was a little bit of a break there, so I'm not sure what happened on that. We'll have to replay the slow motion on that, and I'll play that next. This was just a quick first impressions. Thank you for watching my video, and have a good night.